Welcome to Wizuda MFT, where we're going to run through setting up a host connector. Wizuda MFT enables you to automate the transfer of any data to and from anywhere. You can configure host connectors such as internal servers or SFTP servers, create automated alarms and alerts, or monitor and troubleshoot file transfer problems, all of which are covered within the library of tutorials. For this demo, however, we're purely focusing on setting up a host connector. So after logging in, from the menu, select Configuration, then Host Connection. From here, we can edit existing hosts or view some details or create a new host connector, which is what we're going to do, so click Create New. The first thing we need to do is name our host connector. We'll call it Demo HC. The connection type dropdown is what allows us to define the type of server or endpoint we are connecting to, such as Windows or SFTP or Azure Blob Storage. Optionally, we can set what customer this host connector belongs to, the physical location if known, the time span the host connector will be active for, and host connector zones if we only want this host connector to be available to certain users or to limit which other endpoints it can send or receive data to or from. So assigning a host connector to one or more health check groups allows it to be displayed on the health check dashboard of your choice, but this can be set at a later date if you haven't decided on your health check dashboard layouts yet. So the next tab, the Details tab, will require you to set different values based on the type of host connector you are setting up. For example, creating a HTTPS endpoint will ask you to supply the endpoint URL, but an SFTP host connector will ask you for information such as port number, password, or key, depending on how you want to set it up. For now, we're going to set up a Windows host connector, which shows a basic setup for a server in your network. Set that to Windows, and we'll click the Details tab to start setting our connection information. So for this type of setup, all we need to supply is the IP address or name of the server and whether or not it is a Windows or Unix based server. So 10.1.0.2, and we'll set it up as a Windows server. And then we'll click the Schedule tab. So this panel controls where the health check action will run from that will monitor the availability of this host connector. We must pick a server from the already set up application servers where the MFT platform has been deployed to run from. Then we set the schedule for how often we want to check this host connector and when the checks should start. So the last tab for us to look at is the Folder Location tab. Note that this may be called something else depending on the type of host connector being created. For example, it will be called endpoints if we're setting up a HTTPS host connector. So this is where we can add our folder paths, which will be used as source, destination, error, and or archive locations for our transfer steps. After we click the Add Folder button, we will first have to supply a UNC path of the folder that we want to access. So we'll call it that. And then we can give it a friendly name, so my folder. Optionally, we can set if the folder should be available to MFT's File Explorer to view the contents without needing to physically access the folder location by checking this box. And we can also supply credentials for the folder if they're required to access it. So we'll click Save on the pop-up, and we can add any more if we need to. Otherwise, we can click Cancel to return to the main screen. More folder locations can be added at a later date as and when they are needed. So once we're happy with our settings, we can click Save. Add an additional memo to the host connector if we want to make a note of something, but we'll click No. Then, as we can see from the detail screen, our host connector is now set up, and once the health check process has confirmed the server or endpoint is available and accessible, as well as any of our folders, we will then be able to use this host connector as a source or destination for file transfers. As you can see, it's very intuitive when deciding what type of host connector you require to set up. I hope you found that useful, and please check out our other tutorials for further information or contact us directly by emailing support@wizuda.com. Till next time.